Today, we're going to demystify a super simple but really powerful tool that anybody who's involved in building technology should know about. It's called the use case diagram. Let's dive right in.
All right, picture this. You work for a company, and your vendors are, well, they're furious. It's taking 15, maybe 20 days just to get them paid, and that's a huge problem. So the business comes to you and says, we need an automated solution to fix this, and we need it fast. So where do you even begin to design the tech for something like that?
The heart of the problem is just that the whole payment cycle is painfully slow. I mean, the industry standard is to get payments out the door in less than 5 days. So the mission is crystal clear. We need to build a system that can handle thousands of invoices and just crush that payment time, taking it from 20 days way down to under 5. Now, this is where we need a translator, a bridge, because you've got the business world on one side, right, with all its processes and people and messy paperwork. And then over here, you have the system world, the actual piece of technology we're going to build. The use case diagram, well, that is the bridge. It's what translates what the business needs into a concrete plan for the technology. Okay, and this right here, this is probably the most important thing to get right, because it's the #1 mistake people make. A use case diagram is absolutely 100% not a business flowchart. A flowchart tries to map out every single person in every single step in an entire operation. A use case diagram is different. It's laser focused. It only shows what a user or another system can do by directly interacting with the technology we're building. It cuts through all the noise.
So how does it get that focus? Well, it's actually way simpler than you might think. It's all built from just 4 basic components that work together to really lock down the scope of your project. Let's break them down.
Yep, that's it. These 4 things are the only building blocks you need. Once you get these, you get the entire diagram. So let's start with the most important one. First up is the system boundary. And look, it's really just a big box, but don't let its simplicity fool you. This is the most important box you're going to draw. It defines the scope of what you're building. If a feature is inside the box, the tech team is on the hook to build it. If it's outside the box, they're not. It's basically a contract you can see. Next, we have the actor. This is the who. It could be a role like a customer, or it could even be another computer system that needs to talk to our solution. And here's the key thing. Actors are always drawn outside that system boundary box. Why? Well, because we're not building the actor, right? We're building the system they interact with. So inside the boundary, that's where we put our use cases. And if the actor is the who, the use cases are the what. Each one of these ovals is a specific goal an actor wants to achieve. Think things like upload invoice or approve payment. Notice how they're always action verbs. They are literally what the system does. And finally, we've got the association. Honestly, it's just a line. A simple, straight line connecting an actor to a use case. It doesn't have an arrow. It doesn't show a sequence of events. All it says is, this actor can perform this action. That's it. Simple, clear, no confusion. Okay, so we've got our building blocks. Let's put them to work and go back to our payment problem. This brings us to a really critical part of the process, figuring out who exactly gets to be an actor in our new system. And this is where you really have to put your thinking cap on. You've got the vendor who sends in the invoice. You've got a manager who has to approve it. Maybe there's an automation bot that reads it. So, are they all actors? Well, not necessarily. To be an actor, you have to interact directly with the system we are building. And here is the perfect little litmus test. To figure out who's in and who's out, you just ask one question. Do they touch our system directly? So if they have to log into our system, yes, they are an actor. If their system connects to ours through an API, absolutely, they're an actor. But what about the vendor who just sends an attachment to a generic email inbox? Nope, they are not interacting with our specific system. They're part of the bigger business process, but they are not an actor in this diagram. That's the filter in action. Now, it's not just actors and use cases that connect. Sometimes the use cases themselves have relationships with each other. And this is so important because it helps us find these critical dependencies in the system before a single line of code gets written. There are 2 main relationships you got to know: include and extend. Just think of it this way. Include is mandatory. You must do this thing before you can do that thing. Extend is optional. It's something extra you can do, but you don't have to. Here's a perfect example of include. Can you walk up to an ATM and withdraw cash from an account that doesn't exist? Of course not. So the withdraw cash use case absolutely includes the create an account use case.
It's a mandatory, non-negotiable dependency. One is totally impossible without the other.
Now let's look at extend. Sticking with our ATM example, you perform the withdraw cash use case. Then the screen might ask, hey, would you like to opt in for SMS alerts? Now, this is totally optional. Your withdrawal is going to work perfectly fine whether you say yes or no. So opt in for SMS alerts is an extension of that main goal. It's a preference, not a requirement.
So we've broken down the boundary, the actors, the use cases, the relationships. What's the big picture here? What is the one thing you really need to take away from all of this? It's this. A use case diagram is a filter. Think of it like a funnel. You pour a big, messy business problem in the top with all the different people and steps and emails, and what comes out the bottom is a clean, focused, technical plan. It forces everyone to agree on what the system will do, and just as importantly, what it won't do before anyone starts coding. It's a tool for getting clarity and commitment. So I'll leave you with a little challenge. Think about your favorite app on your phone. What's one feature in there that's an include, something that's absolutely mandatory for another feature to work? And what's one that's an extend, just a nice optional extra? If you can answer that, you're already starting to think in use cases. Thanks for joining me.